And we're back with some more Czeching Lions franchise mode. And in this one, I think we're going to be trading Mark Giordano. I'm not too impressed. Well, first of all, I'll say that his offensive production is fine. That's the main reason we got him. But the reason why I'm considering trading him is because his that turnover ratio is just ugly. 68-13 is the giveaways to takeaways. And given that we're currently 6th in our division, 5 points behind the wild card, so it's certainly possible that we could still make the playoffs, but I've seen this situation before. It's going to be kind of difficult. The simulation does not favor us right now because we're currently below 500, even if you don't count the overtime and shootout losses. So what we're going to do, we're going to trade a couple of guys who I don't want on the roster next year anyway. And I do have a trade lined up that will not only help us now, because there is a player who has considerably low trade value who we can get back for Giordano, who could still help us out this year, while also getting more back for our future. So let's go into the trade screen and let us go to the Colorado Avalanche, who are 28, 26, and 5. So they're not in the greatest spot either, but it looks like they're still buyers. So what we're going to do here is, since there's a pretty good chance we're not making the playoffs, obviously, as I mentioned, we're going to be trading Giordano. So let's get him on this deal. And who we're also going to be putting on is a very interesting prospect who we drafted, I believe, a couple of years ago. And that would be Yanni Hakkarainen. He's 79 overall, 20 years of age. Now you may be thinking, why would you trade a guy like this? Well, when you take a look at his individual stats, he is kind of all over the place. He has a 98 for deking, but the rest of his puck skills are in the 70s. He has a 91 discipline, but his offensive awareness is 76. His wrist shot power is 99. The rest of his shots in the 70s. His physicality is 94 aggressiveness, 89 strength, but the rest of his physical categories 70s and even 69 for body checking. Skating, very weird. He has 74 for speed, 74 for agility, but 94 for acceleration. And then defense, he has a 98 for defensive awareness, 80 faceoff. So he'd be great defensively, at least by those standards. But he also has a 69 for shot blocking and 94 for stick shaking. So he's just all over the place. I don't see him living up to his potential. He does have a fourth line forward role, so presuming Colorado accepts this trade, they will be getting someone who the computer sees as an NHL player. But for me, I just don't think he's going to be effective with his build being all over the place. So we're going to add him to this deal as well. And one more thing that we're going to add is a third round pick from Chicago for this year. And coming back the other way will be a defenseman, because we obviously need someone to replace Giordano, and that would be Duncan Keith. So veteran for veteran here, 83 overall, a decent amount of points so far this year. Not very physical, but the key here for me is that he doesn't give away the puck too much, at least not recently. And we're also going to be getting out of this deal a first-round pick for next year. I'm hoping this is enough value. Now, Colorado is upgrading Keith to Giordano. They're also getting a prospect in Hakkarainen, who he may be fantastic for all we know. Like, he could be the best defensive forward in the game eventually, given his defensive awareness and face-offs and stick checking. But I also, he's just he's going to be so unpredictable. We're sending him the other way in this deal. And then the third-round pick, of course, to add a bit more value there. And then even then, they still get to keep their first-round pick for this year because, you know, they're obviously not in the greatest of spots right now. They still can make the playoffs, but they also may not. So they are keeping their first-round pick for this year, and we will be instead taking their first-round pick for next year. And that is presuming that they will be good next year, at least from their perspective. I'm obviously hoping that they won't be, but I'm not expecting to get that lucky with trading for draft picks 2 years in a row. So I think we're going to do this. Giordano, Hakkarainen, and a third for Keith, and a first proposed trade. Trade accepted. There it is. Now, unfortunately, with that trade, we do lose our +5 on the first line penalty kill with Keith being in there. So we currently have Foote, McCabe, Shea. Is there any other defenseman who would fit there? Maybe Larson? Okay, he has a +3. There's TVR. No, he doesn't fit. So Larson, I think, would be the best bet there. So that being said, there is one other defenseman who I want to trade, and that would be TVR, of course, because he does not fit into our penalty kill scheme, and that's where I would want him as a defensive defenseman. And besides that, we also have the likes of Ralph Stillman coming in next year. He's an 80 overall now, so he will definitely be playing next year. Got to free up a slot for him. And then, of course, as well, Derek Bentley, who may also be possibly coming in next year, depending on how he grows over the offseason. So we may as well just free up the spot from Van Riemsdyk. Hunt can play for now, and let's just see if we can get a draft pick back for TVR. So Anaheim offering a 4th and a 6th, and that appears to be the popular offer here. A 3rd and a 7th from Philly, also from Tampa. I like Philly and Tampa's offers. They're both the same, essentially. I think Tampa's a division rival, so let's send him to Philly. Accept trade. We also have Gunnarsson, who we can fill in. How does he fit on that second line? Well, he's a better scheme fit, I think, than Hunt. Yeah, but I think I want the offensive defenseman there with McCabe. So we'll get Hunt in there for now. And then you also have Keith there with Cal Foote on the third defensive pair. As we take a look at his scheme fit, he fits perfectly on the third line. So I think that's all that I wanted to do at the trade deadline. Obviously, it's not likely that we're going to make the playoffs, but on the off chance that we do, I wanted to get Duncan Keith in there just to make sure that we still had a solid veteran defenseman back there in exchange for getting rid of Giordano. And then we also got some insurance for our future. We got a first-round pick for next year. And of course, we got some depth picks back for TVR, so I think that's about what I wanted to do. So we will advance to the end of the regular season now, I think, because there's not much else left to do. I've made my trades, and we just have to hope for the best, I think. But it would not surprise me if we fall short this year just because of where we are currently. But of course, there's only one way to find out, and that would be just simulating through the rest of the season. So I will see you guys at the end of the regular season. Yeah, I think this year's a wash. We're only at March 11th right now. We still have roughly 14 games to go, I believe. And we are now last in our division. We have 64 points. We are 10 points behind the wild card in the Atlantic. And we are 8 points behind the Rangers. So there's still a slight chance if we go on a massive, I'm talking, we need to lose no more than 1 or 2 games over the next 14 games here. So if we can do that, then maybe. But I think our season's over here. As we take a look at the entire league, we're 29th in the league. Yeah, that's quite the drop off from where we were last year. Yeah, this is, So we have finished the season 35, 39, and 8. Definitely unfortunate. Nowhere near the playoffs, so I'm glad we didn't make any major trades for any, big-time players who would help us make a big push for the playoffs. It just wasn't happening. Not this year with the amount of, I don't want to say underachievers, because I think last year we were more overachievers than anything else. So this was more like it, honestly, as far as what I expected. Aronson definitely had a down year. I'm hoping that this year is the anomaly as opposed to last year where he just had an absolutely insane rookie season and he never scores 44 goals again. I hope that's not the case. I hope it's this year that is the one year that he's going to have, it just went weird for him and next year he comes back with another 40 goal season. I would like to believe that is going to be the case because we've seen what he is capable of. He is clearly a very talented sniper, so just gotta believe in him. And we should also probably get him some better line mates. I mean, Wenberg, he definitely overachieved last year. 69 assists. I mean, there's no way that was holding up into this year with how things were going. And this is more what I expected out of Wenberg, the 54-point season. And let me tell you, I'm glad I did not sign Nemesnikov to a long-term deal like you wanted, because oh man, he was not worth it. He really was not. I mean, I would like to keep him on board as a second liner for us because he fits that line perfectly. Just not for that much money. And I don't think he'll be asking for that much money this offseason anyway. Like, he'll probably only ask for, I would say, $6 million now, just because he had that tremendous drop off from last year. He had 69 points last year, only 53 points this year. He definitely should not be asking for as much, and if he does, then I'm sorry, but we're going to have to release him because that's just not worth it. Hintz had a solid year, 50 points. I believe that is around where he was last year, actually. Yeah, in fact, he had more points this year. So, good effort from Hintz. Janssen, 49 points. Danielson with a solid rookie season, 33 goals. He's no Devin Aronson, of course, but still, nonetheless, a solid accomplishment for him. And hopefully, Danielson and Aronson have some good chemistry going forward. Palat was a solid pickup in 39 games with us. He had 20 points. So that's about what I expected out of him. Shea was one of those players who definitely was not as good as he was last year. Once again, a lot of overachievers last year. He had 48 points last year compared to only 29 this year. Zajac was another one of those players. He had 40 points last year, only 21 this year. Again, around what I expected from him. And then in goal, you have Demko with a 905. Not what I was hoping, especially with the performance he had in the playoffs last year. But at least it's consistent with what he had last year in the regular season, so I guess I'm not complaining, but still. We're clearly still a ways off from being regular contenders. And last year was nice. It was obviously very nice. But we need to take this season into consideration when making improvements over this next offseason because, you know, we can't be blinded by what happened last year because that appears to have been just a lot of overachievers on the team and just all the right things happening at the right time, you know? Whereas with this team, we see a few holes here and there. Obviously, still in a good spot. We have a bright future still with guys like Devin Aronson. We have Danielson. We have Mr. Ralph Stillman coming in next year. But once again, we're still not good enough to be making the playoffs every year, clearly. So checking out where we finish now in the entire league, because I know our position changed a little bit there towards the end. And it looks like we have finished 28th in the entire league. So we have the 5th best odds at the first overall pick, of course. So maybe another top 3 pick for your Czeching Lions. Who knows? I mean, it certainly would be welcome. Goals for per game this year, we finished with 2.9, and goals against per game with a 3.07. Power play was at a 17%, and the penalty kill was at an 80.5. 12 shorties, so that's impressive, but in the end, we didn't make the playoffs, so it's, I suppose, not all that impressive after all. Honestly, I'm kind of hoping that we could get this guy, Corbin Maroon. He's supposed to go 4th overall. He's a playmaker center, which is what we need. He's got A+ for shooting and puck skills, A- for physicality. He looks great. He's NHL ready already. He's similar style to Patrick Kane. Good personality. I don't know about the scheme fit. I don't know if he actually fits what we have going right now. But nonetheless, he's still going to be a solid player from what we could tell there anyway. So I think with that all being done, we're going to end things off here. And the next one, we will get to the year 3. I believe we are in now off season. Yeah, we're headed into year 3 off season. We just completed year 3, heading into year 4. With that being said, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next one.